This is BharatFM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
ये है भारत एफएम.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
Hello, good morning, and welcome for our fifth episode of Citizens Climate Lobby. And I'm Vasudha Deshpande, a volunteer in Northern Kentucky chapter. With me, I have Donald Addu, CCL program director, and Patricia Rubio, she is diversity inclusion program coordinator. Welcome, and over to Donald. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Vasudha. And thank you, everyone. Welcome to another episode with Citizens Climate Lobby on BharatFM and Bharat TV. My name is Donald Addu. I'm the program director for Citizens Climate Lobby, and we are delighted to have you with us today. Citizens Climate Lobby is a nonprofit, nonpartisan organization dedicated to creating the political will for a stable climate. We empower individuals of all backgrounds to engage in democracy to pass meaningful climate legislation through Congress. We have chapters all over the United States and are in over 70 countries, so chances are there is one near you. Today, I have with me Patricia Rubio, CCL's Diversity and Inclusion Program Coordinator. How are you doing today, Patricia?
I am doing great, Don. Thank you so much for asking. Happy to be here.
Yay, thank you so much for joining us. So I'd love to start today by just kind of hearing, how did you come to the issue of climate change, and what makes this an issue that you care about?
That's actually a really good question, because just this morning, my mother and I were talking over breakfast about, she was sharing some things about being on the island. We live near a really great beach called South Padre Island. It's where the Rio Grande River meets the Gulf of Mexico. So that's where I'm from, that little area. And we were talking about like the seafood and how things are going to change because of climate issues and warming temperatures. And I started to remember about, I don't know, maybe third grade, about 9 or 10. I was watching this television station called Nickelodeon, and that was just like, it was just a kids channel. It was cartoons and kid shows, music, dancing, whatever. And they did have a segment on Sunday that was like a news time. And it was by a reporter named Linda Ellerby. And she would have kids that would go do like reportings on different things, and they would have discussions. So they would kind of have like roundtable discussions, but just, hanging out on the floor, nothing super fancy. And they were talking about global warming during that time. And I remember feeling so moved and a little scared about what could happen to the future of my life and my friends and my family. And so it's just slowly grown over time. And with CCL, which has been a complete blessing, has given me that opportunity to now put it into motion. And, it's really exciting to have, I just had this moment where I was like, wait a minute, I've been wanting to do something since I was in third grade, and CCL has given me that opportunity. And so I was just very happy because I'm able to give back to my community, and even worldwide. I mean, how many people can say that they get to do that? And so it's kind of that. It started off when I was just a little kid watching a kid show, and which is great because it just shows how effective that program was. So yeah, that's kind of how it's come to be over time.
That's awesome. I also grew up watching Nickelodeon. So
you know what I'm talking about.
That's right. Totally. But CCL is not your first foray into environmental advocacy. Do you want to share a little bit about the work you did before you got to CCL?
Oh, sure. Yeah, that's a wonderful question. So I am 38, and I have been working in my community as a grassroots organizer for maybe about 8 to 10 years. But before that, I was heavily involved in volunteering. And it could be anywhere from immigration justice to supporting our farm workers, having clean water. And it just was something that was all intersectional, of course, with climate. We know that, we see that, we're watching it change every day. But it started off with the love and care of my community, but because my grandparents were farm workers and they were migrant workers, so they would travel from different spots for agriculture settings, so they could pick usually citrus, cotton, watermelon, cucumbers, onions. So I learned about how intense it was to work in the sun for 12 straight hours with pretty much no breaks, and getting like a dollar every few days, and then having to feed a family of 5. So I just started seeing all these different like connections in the community and even in my own family. And so I decided that I was going to have that all that injustice end with my generation. Like, no longer are we going to tolerate the mistreatment of people, and let them have the quality of life that they deserve. And so it's really been like kind of this like evolution of Patricia that's been going on, just growing up with oral history as a kid. My grandpa was from Mexico. So, it's not like my family has been on this side of the river for generations upon generations. That was the immigrant story, and having this American dream. And I kind of saw it as like, well, let's live up to that. And that's just been part of it, just being in my community, going to community events, town hall meetings, doing canvassing, going door to door, asking people to support us, holding up banners, all that good stuff. So, yeah, I've been in this kind of field for more than I realized, but I love it. It's my family members before me have done it, so it's in my blood, it's in my DNA. I can feel it.
That's really awesome. That's really
And
cool.
God knows, because I was showing pictures of my family that were doing lobbying and other things, and I was like, well, I guess it was inevitable. I was going to end up at CCL. So
That's really awesome. Yeah, so we hear about the American dream a lot, especially
yes.
as immigrants, and it's baked into the American story, especially for European immigrants, of kind of coming over here and working yourself up. But what I think is often left out of that story is that it's not just the individual, it's not just the work that you do to pull yourself up in this country, but the work that you do with your community and the civic engagement that has to come with it. So just kind of, what does that, it sounds like that's been kind of your experience as well. So I just wanted to see if you wanted to elaborate on that.
Okay, I think I understand the question a little bit more, and I'm going to start off with my grandparents. Yes, you could go to a farm, be a farm worker, get a certain amount of money, but there were also threats to that, because if you came from Mexico, if you maybe didn't have a green card or had a green card, there were farmers who would threaten the community by saying, if you don't do what I say, we're going to take your green card away, and we're going to leave you in Mexico and you can't come back. Or wage theft. So they would say, we're going to keep your wages and there's nothing you can say because you're not a citizen. And so, that was quite some time back, but that actually still happens today. But having groups that kind of come together and say, you know what, we're going on strike, we're not going to take this, we're going to do something about it. But that also means they go for a period of time without work. So how do they take care of their family? Well, they come together and they help one another. whether it's someone's making all the beans, someone's making all the rice, someone's making tortillas. Everybody helps out, deliver to each other's family houses. Like that's how they got through things like that. And even here, like with my friends, we help each other. I have some friends that just went to Germany to work on climate with a bunch of people from Germany, Spain, all over the place. And we raised funds for our friend who is a single mother of two. She has a special needs daughter, but she's an incredible activist. She loves her children. She wants to protect her children at all costs. So we raised money for her. All of us together just pitched in a little bit. And when you're in like an area like ours where we're known for our poverty rates, I mean, that's a really big gift. And so it's like one thing they don't talk about with the American dream is how sometimes and quite often you will need to become like a nucleus group. That's why there's so many intergenerational households. That's why there were so many people living together, because that was the way to survive. So it's often the community coming together that creates the successful immigrant story. And that's what people don't learn. Pull up your bootstraps, as they would say, because there's little straps on the side of the shoes on the boot. And they would say, you just got to pull yourself up from the bootstraps and get back on there. But really, it's like there's organizations, there's unions, all that stuff came from not having the support they needed to have the American dream. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work to have that so-called American dream be what people say it is. You know what I mean? They don't
Totally.
show how hard people work, and I wish they would, because so often with immigrants, they are the most amazing people you will ever meet. They are most hardworking people you will ever meet. I know because I've worked with immigrants. I've supported like to help for those that are undocumented, also asylum seekers in Mexico. I volunteered in Mexico to feed, clothe, find health care for them as they waited to enter the country. And they are some of the most phenomenal people you will ever meet. And I really, really hope that, at least for America, they start to open their eyes and see the beauty of the diversity that immigrants can bring, because there is a power in that. I'm kind of going off a little bit. It's something I live on the border. I live right next to Mexico. I volunteer in Mexico. So there's something I know about, and my friends, and we've all come together and created these collaborative groups. So, and a lot of them come because hurricanes, floods, they can't support themselves through agriculture anymore because of extreme temperatures. Nothing's growing. So of course you're gonna move around. But anyway, I can't stop me, Don. Stop me. I'm gonna keep going, and everyone in India is gonna be like, "Why is she talking about agriculture?" Sorry, India. Sorry.
This is awesome. Thank you, Patricia. No, so pivoting back to kind of like CCL specifically, diversity is a core value for us. And
Yes.
so, can you share how your role helps foster that core value?
Okay, so one really beautiful thing is that even though for the past 20 years, it was very hard for me. I was, you know, below the poverty line. I did not have access to health care. I became dependent on our government for assistance. And so after 20 years of just working continuously to be that American dream, the grandchild of great immigrants that made it and had their own home and their own cars, like, I ended up going back and I had to start all over. And because of all that, I have been able to be the representative in CCL of the communities that we are trying to reach out to. So being in CCL, I get to be that actual truth to the group that we are reaching, which are, historically marginalized communities. And so with BIPOC people, which is Black, Indigenous, people of color, my goal was to make sure it was a safe place. My first year, I was like, my goal is just, I want to make sure the whole year this is a safe place. This is your seat at the table, and we're going to get to it. And I will protect you at all cost. And so that is some of my background that I feel has brought so much truth and so much content and so much firsthand experience that I've been able to help volunteers, but also my coworkers who are with volunteers. You know what I mean? It's a chance for education through storytelling. So,
Beautiful.
okay,
Cool.
I was like a little nervous. I was like, the boss hasn't said anything.
I was just letting that sit for a moment. That was really, really beautiful. I love it. Oh, let me ask you a fairly straightforward question. We are the Citizens Climate Lobby. So does somebody have to be a United States citizen to join or participate with CCL?
Not at all. Not at all. And I will give you a really fantastic example. So we have various social media platforms in the inclusion department because we have our Spanish social media platforms like Twitter, Instagram. We have our Latino one, and that goes for folks that maybe don't speak Spanish, but they are Latino, they identify as Latino or Hispanic or Chicano. And we have an individual that is supporting us on the Spanish speaking social media who is not a citizen of the US, but is, in process of doing so. And they're incredibly active in the climate movement in Florida. Like they go to meetings, they're there for, you know, anything because they have children and they want to have a safer place. Also, they do not speak English. They take everything is fully Spanish. So we have a translator. So that way there's language justice, meaning there is access for that individual to be able to participate, express themselves, and exchange ideas between groups that they can make a difference. So no, you don't have to be a citizen. I know it says Citizens Climate Lobby, but one story someone shared with me was that, Marshall thought, maybe the man who founded CCL, it's like maybe that wasn't the best move, but unfortunately he passed away. And, but at the time it was just where the country was at, what was happening. See, but now we have all these powerful platforms like now where we're starting to have those conversations just like here right now. We're talking about change, transformation, adaptation, all the stuff that is part of success, especially in the climate movement, because we have to work together. This is not a one person thing. So the collaboration is what's really important. I know I strayed a little bit, but it's like you said, climate's my jam. So sometimes you have a passion and then before you know it, it's 30 minutes later. So I'm trying really hard, folks, to stay focused. It's super hard for me because my passion sometimes just takes me to all these other stories. I have so many stories.
Oh.
So thank you for letting me be here, y'all. So back to you, Don.
No, thank you. No, I do want to come back to kind of touching on language and how language can be really challenging. When I was a Peace Corps volunteer in Armenia, and when I was arrived in country, met my host family 3 days in, they spoke no English and I spoke no Armenian, and from that point on, it was just trial by fire. You got you got to figure it out, and that is really that's really challenging. And I have a lot of admiration for folks that come to this country who either don't speak English or speak English as a second language, and struggle with that, because I've experienced that firsthand, and it is a challenge, and it takes a lot of courage to tackle that head on. So, Patricia, the term environmental justice has kind of been getting talked about more and more. Can you
Yes.
kind of define environmental justice for us and what that looks like, and how does it relate to climate change?
Okay, folks. So I have been prepping for this gig to talk on y'all's radio station. I know it's through the internet, so it's a little different, but I'm like, it is a radio station, so here we go. It's also video. Here we go. So I have been like looking up stuff, trying to figure out, I'm like, how am I going to explain this? I want to make sure that they get the full content and they get the full like power of CCL and how much we love people and we want to make a difference. And so I started going through these questions and writing stuff down. So I'm going to read from my phone real quick. And so I looked up environmental justice, first of all, to see what it would say. And according to the EPA, which is the Environmental Protection Agency, environmental justice is the fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all people, regardless of race, color, national origin, or income, with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies. So we're talking about fairness across the board, including anything and everything that you could think of. So it's not about how much you make. It's not about the color of your skin. It's not about your religion. We're talking about an all-encompassing movement of justice where we're just talking about the health and well-being of you and your family and the plants and animals. It is an all-encompassing like vibe, this energy and this movement forward where nothing is going to get ignored. Everything will be acknowledged, and that means people will be seen. And that's what we want. We want people to feel seen, heard. We want their thoughts to be shared and known. And that's how I've seen EJ, which short for environmental justice. That's how I've worked in the environmental justice movements in my community. I do a lot of volunteer work, and that's what we do. We talk about so many different levels. So we're looking at the whole picture. So that's the beauty of environmental justice. It's not just one thing. We're looking at the whole picture, which is exactly what we do in the climate movement. Because we can't just say like, oh, we'll just take this spot and we'll just take this spot and we'll just put some focus here and here. But meanwhile, you have all of this. Well, what about all of this? So environmental justice is about the whole picture. And that's exactly what CCL is doing. We're looking at the whole picture, which is why we're also international. So sorry, I just had to plug that in because it was like the beauty and power of our group to have all this focus and optimism, which is part of our core values, and to make sure that everyone has a chance to say, you know what, I want to do something. I want to make a difference. Like, can you help me find it where it is I shine, so that way, we're empowering folks to do it for themselves.
That's
Find what
awesome.
it is that drives them. We're
Yeah.
not telling anyone what to do. We're letting them find whatever it is that's in their heart light to shine away.
Cool. And do folks need like an experience in community organizing or lobbying to be a part of CCL?
Not at all. We are a grassroots organization, meaning that we're going to start from where you are. And if that means that we're going to start from the very beginning, we will teach you. We will walk you through everything. You don't have to be this lobbyist of 20 years and be, here's my application. Can I join? No, just come on in, come on over, have a seat. We're going to talk about it. And from there, we can do trainings we have trainings online. We have welcoming presentations weekly. We have calls to help for folks that want to grow in leadership, that maybe they want to take on a bigger role. So we do our best to cover as many points so that you can join and you can be a part of it no matter what your experience is. So we try very hard to make sure that folks feel comfortable coming in, because we know that everyone's coming in from a different background. So, and we understand and we respect that everyone is on their own personal journey, and we're just happy that folks find us and want to come on in. So we're happy to meet you wherever you are.
Awesome. And what's the best way for folks to get involved?
Well, of course, we have cool radio stations like this that we get to talk to folks. But so what I have here is we have the online. Of course, you go to our website. We also have it in Spanish, and then we have our page called Community, which is where we have all of our forums, blogs, and different things. And if you want to, you can email us at inclusion@citizensclimate.org, and that'll be my department alongside my boss, and of course, Dawn. But my boss and I are the ones that kind of tackle that stuff. So if you wanted to, you can just send us an email and we can go from there and we can help you find what it is you're looking for.
Awesome. Very cool. Thank you, Patricia. Any last words of wisdom for everybody?
Wherever you are in life, you are wonderful. Keep going forward, and hopefully we can help you find something else to bring to your life that is positive and beautiful.
Yay. Wonderful. Awesome. Well, I really want to thank you, Patricia, for joining us today. Thank you for tuning in to Citizens Climate Lobby. This is episode 5. Really appreciate you listening to us today. And we will be, our last episode, episode 6, will air in a few weeks. And we definitely look forward to sharing that episode with you as well. So again, thank you for being here. Thank you, Patricia, and have a wonderful day.
This is BharatFM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.
ये है भारत FM.
बजेगा भारत झूमेगा भारत.